Alright, hey guys, this is Sarah. I work with GamerJibe, and we had an event going on called the GamerJibe Art Lounge, and this is how I met the creators behind Mondrian Maker from Lantana Games.
Hi, I'm Danny from Lantana Games. Coded and designed Mondrian Plastic Reality, Mondrian Maker, Mondrian Studio, and today we're gonna give you a little demo of what the game has to offer, how you can make your own creations in Mondrian Maker, share them, with the world in Mondrian Studio. And what you get for picking up this ridiculous game package art platform thing, however you want to describe it. Like I'm good with whatever you want to call it. Really, it's sort of a monster of a software package,
Right,
to say the least.
true.
But yeah, so I guess we'll just dive in and start taking a look at like what's on offer here, because why waste anybody's time?
Yeah, let's go into it.
Let's do it. So when you come on in, the first thing that's going to happen is the game will actually look for any downloadable content that you have gotten off of Steam Workshop. And that way, anytime you load up the main menu, if you've subscribed to new things on Steam Workshop, it's just going to instantly grab them.
Right.
But anyway, so this is Mondrian Plastic Reality. It is a orbital brick breaker where you play as 5 modern artists going on time traveling art heists to uncover their lost works and build a startup art museum around them.
I already like the idea of heists.
Yes. So there are 5 playable characters and a bunch of different game modes. Just to demo things at the start, I'm going to jump into the quick play endless mode. I'm just going to play as Pete on relaxing. And I'll just talk about the game a little bit for like 5-10 minutes, and we'll play some rounds. So the game is heavily inspired not just by classic brick breakers like Arkanoid and Breakout and such, but also roguelites. So every single time you play a level, there are going to be some elements of it that are a little bit different from the last time you played it, whether it's the background art or power-up locations, which paddle and ball you get, what the wall looks like or how it spins around you. There, and on top of that, some levels, depending on how they're designed, can even dynamically generate color harmonies to go along with them. So every time you play a level, it's going to be different. And this drastically increases the replay value of the game. I mean, yeah, it comes with 100 levels, and currently we have another 25 or so that you can download right off of Steam Workshop. But each of those levels has an infinite number of variations that it can turn into.
That's
And so
amazing.
what the game does is it basically puts these artworks that are the levels that have been designed right up front, kind of as a foreground, and then in the background there are different artwork files. Game comes with 30, but you can pretty easily import your own as well. And so what that means is you can use a combination of what you make in Mondrian Maker along with even your own art to share digital artistic creations, whether on Steam Workshop or on social media. Maybe you want to set up a Redbubble merch site. Maybe you want to use it as your art portfolio to get into RISD or whatever. Like, there's really no limit to what you can do with this game in terms of, well, okay, like there's technological limitations, but expression limitations, nah. We pretty much got you covered, and we're not about controlling the kind of things that you want to make in the game. If you want to say make your entire art portfolio in Mondrian Maker, go right ahead. If you want to make some fun levels just to challenge your friends, go right ahead. You want to make like recreations of Renaissance artworks or 8-bit characters, uh, copyright issues aside, go ahead. It's just completely old school, open, and fun is what we've been going for with it. So then, on top of being able to just like make whatever you want to make, we also have a bunch of different color harmonies in the game. Like you can see here, we've got grayscale going on. But there are 12 primary colors as well as, I want to say, 15 or 18 different color harmonies that you can pick from. And then minimum, maximum brightness. And all these elements instantly generate each time you start a level. So you can see the load times are kind of close to non-existent.
Right. And this is
Boom,
all
in.
AI assisted framework.
It's not really a machine learning AI. It's more it's more of an old school AI that just like has, some basically built-in rule sets and an understanding of how colors kind of work together. And it's been given a set of instructions to be like, okay, if this is the primary color and I'm in an adjacent color harmony, then I need to look for, or like I need to only generate the level in these 3 or 4 colors. This is my maximum brightness. This is my minimum brightness. And on top of that, it follows color design sensibility, almost percentages, you could say, to be like, okay, well, this is the primary color. So the background's going to be that color, which means I need, X number of blocks to be this secondary color and X number to be this secondary color. And so kind of like how a roguelite generates a dungeon, Mondrian generates artwork.
Yeah, and every single time it's an original artwork.
Yeah.
That's cool. And users can take full ownership of everything they create there, copyright aside, right?
Yeah. I mean, even then, if you say make Mario in Mondrian Maker, it's not like it's a playable Mario. It's not like it's an animated Mario. It's more of like a fan art.
Yeah.
That happens to be reminiscent of your favorite 8-bit character. So,
right.
Yeah. There's like, obviously, I haven't, gone full legalese with it, but
that's how fan art is too,
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. Generally, you'd be protected, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer myself, but I would think that, just in terms of artwork being what it is, you'd generally be protected.
Right. And the cool thing is, not only can you create your own levels, but you can share the levels with your friends and they can play out of your artwork.
Yeah, exactly. And then they can even modify it as well if they want to. And I'll go into the editor now, show that off a little bit, and kind of explain like why they would maybe want to do that. So this is Mondrian Maker. This is the game's very open level editor. And I am, speaking of opening, I'm going to open the last level we played, which I believe it was squares. I want to say it was this one. Pretty sure. Yeah, it was Mirror Square. So for instance, you might open up your friend's level and you might be like, okay, that was great, but I can make, the easy variant a little easier, or I can make the hard variant a little harder. And whatever you make in Mondrian Maker, you can always go in and you can, change the obstacle type. You can add some modifiers to it to make it move left, right, up, and down, or be invisible in certain periods of time. And at any time in Mondrian Maker, you can click this button here, and you can click Save and Play. And then that will open the level up in testing mode in game, and you can go ahead and test out your creations. And you can see this particular variation of the level, there are disappearing teleporters, there are splitter blocks which will pop open into other blocks when hit. Those teleporters will completely screw up your life. You've got blocks that are moving up and down. But compared to the relaxing difficulty, and we come on back in here, and you can see it's completely static, but it's still the same layout that it was before. So not only can you create up to 4 difficulty variations on your level, the game, of course, as I discussed, will dynamically generate different power-up locations and give you a different paddle and ball every single time. Mess up the wall, mess up the background, different music. So, like I said, heavily roguelite inspired.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, this really is an art creation suite in its own right.
Right. It's art combined with games.
Yeah, it really is. So, for instance, you can, go all out and create something like the Mona Lisa. And then even Mona Lisa, when you go and test that out, you'd think that would take a minute to load. Nope, 3 seconds. 3 seconds, it's completely loaded, and then you're playing Mona Lisa. And what's particularly interesting about, say, the Mona Lisa in general, and a lot of the levels that are included in the game, is she's painted. So down here we have the paint tools, and this allows you to pick any RGB value, and you get your red, your green, your blue. And then when you find a color you like, you can click and drag that into the mini swatches to store them for later. And these save over time, so I can even leave Mondrian Maker, and when I come back in, that purple is saved, so I can pick right back up where I left off.
Right.
And we can reopen Mona Lisa, right? And I'm actually gonna call this Mona Lisa 2 so that I don't damage anything. But so then I can take the paintbrush and I can say paint her forehead purple.
What's really
Something
cool
like
about
that.
the controls is that they aren't difficult to pick up like other art programs.
Yeah.
They're like just sliders and like icons, and there
Exactly.
isn't a lot of like much of a learning curve to it.
No, there really isn't. And then if you want to place new blocks down, literally just click and click a block and then paste it in. Right now I'm bringing in blocks as random colors. So when I load the game up, these will be completely randomized colors, and her hair is going to be purple.
Nice.
So I'm going to hit save and play. And you can see we're in a neoplastic style coloring. So any block that is set to be dynamically colored is going to come in with those dynamic color harmonies, versus anything that's painted, like the Mona Lisa herself or her purple forehead. That's going to come in always in the painted color instead. Now, however, if we say open up a variation of Mona Lisa that I have made for the purpose of creating NFTs called Punka Lisa, and we go ahead and play that, what I've done here is I've actually used the paint scraper tool, which I'll demonstrate in a minute, on her hair. And what that does is that randomly colorizes her hair every single round. and there is no way to predict what colors the computer is going to generate on those blocks. Yes, they will be within the predetermined color harmony, but that's it. Otherwise the AI takes care of the rest and is like, well, okay, so I can pick from purple, green, and red, and so I'll just, scatter those around as I want to. So, if her hair, was originally black, we go ahead and repaint her hair black, say, like that. Come on, there you go. What I can do is if I'm not happy with having a block painted, I can use this tool here, the paint scraper, and then that will re-randomize every block that I scrape. And that is super convenient because that means that you can essentially take any level and have a combination of dynamically colored blocks and painted blocks.
Right.
And so you can use that to basically create a brand new kind of graphic design that is partly handmade, partly computer generated. And this is a concept that I've never really seen done before anywhere but in Mondrian Maker. And the advantage to that is then anything I create in there, if I want to make just a massive collection of graphics out of that, not only can I do that, none of them will be 100% the same.
Right.
Every single time. So the other tool set that the game comes with is Mondrian Studio. Now, what Mondrian Studio is a very easy to use graphic design suite. And what I can do in here, I can say if I want to print my levels, I can activate crop marks and registration marks. I can change the size ratio of the frame, and this is all like standard print frame sizes: 4x7, 5x8, 8x10, 8.5x11. I can rotate the frame depending on the orientation that I want it, or I can turn the frame off entirely, or turn the background off entirely, the negative space, and then just have my background image. In the color palette, I can go with adjacent colors, and being set to cyan here, you can see there's some cyan, there's some azure, and there's some spring. And if I set that, say, to red, then that becomes red, rose, and orange instead. And let me turn up the brightness a bit so you can see that better. But every time I click this fill button, Mona Lisa's hair is going to randomize.
Right. And it's so easy. It's just a click of a button.
It's literally just a click of a button and dragging some sliders around.
And not only that, you can export it in whatever
Yep.
format that is most convenient for you.
Exactly. So once you have a look that you like, you can click the copy button, and that's going to copy into your clipboard. And then using that, you can then bring it into, you can like paste it in
Anywhere, like Discord, Twitter. Yeah.
Photoshop, Paint Tool Sci, MS Paint, you name it. Like, you can bring it anywhere. Or if you like love the look of it and you want to use that as your thumbnail, say for Steam Workshop, you can set this back to 1x1, turn the frame back on, hit save, and then that will instantly save a properly named JPEG into your thumbnails folder.
And then
at
boom,
that
it's
point,
already on Steam.
Well, just about. So at that point, you just go back into Mondrian Maker, click the share button, and then it's ready to go on Steam with the click of a button. You literally just click that.
There's like no buffering.
There's no buffering, and it's just up on Steam Workshop, and you didn't have to do like anything.
And so once you upload it, that also means people can use it as a level too, right?
Exactly, yeah. People can then download it, play it, edit it, upload their own version of it if they want to. It's just a big art ecosystem is what we're building here. And there's a lot of potential for that. Um, so, you
So
know,
yeah.
yeah, if you say want to use your own background artwork, for instance. So here's Vermeer's Lady with an Ermine.
Mhm.
And if I head back into Mondrian Studio, I didn't get to this tab. So over here we have background canvas. So if you bring in your own artwork, all you have to do is hold these buttons down until you find the background that you've imported.
Mhm.
And then you can very easily use your own background in your thumbnail artworks or to share onto social media. You can choose between full color style,
Mhm.
one color style, or a black and white. Um, or if you want to, say, make a transparent image out of your Mondrian creation, it can't quite save with an alpha layer, but what you can do is you can toggle the background off. And then I would recommend turning off the special effects. And then you can easily crop that out at
Right.
that point. Um, and do pretty much whatever you want with it from there. Um, so once you have it, then you would just copy the clipboard, paste that into Photoshop or Paint.net, whatever you're using, um, and go to town with it at that point. And we've also had a lot of luck AI upscaling the creations in here because they're not super high resolution. But the game is 1080p, so what you create is usually around 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels, and AI upscalers do a really, really good job, from what I've seen, of getting that up to like 4 feet by 4 feet, 8 feet by 8 feet, and that's overkill for most art prints. So you could get that up to like 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet, no problem, and set yourself up a really nice museum opening just based on your Mondrian creations.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
there's a action game slash puzzle, and you have the story mode, you have the level creator, and then you
Yep.
have an in-house export tool.
Yep.
So there's so many things you can do with one thing. And how much does this cost again?
This is $15 on
15
Steam.
for like four different things that do a
At
infinite amount
least
of things.
four different things.
Yeah. Four different modes, but like unlimited amount of things that you can do with it.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited power. And
And
also, you forgot one more thing. How many
yep.
updates did you get?
So we are heading on to update number 10, due out sometime in August. So there's 9 updates so far. Mondrian Studio was the most recent one that came out in May. So we are very active at bringing in new features, making changes, fixing bugs, etc., etc. And then on top of all that, there's the story mode as well.
Yeah. Like what so
And
how many I guess chapters have been developed in this story so far?
so far we have only released one chapter, but
Mhm.
we have some upcoming news about some new stories that we will be adding into the game before the end of the year. And we're very excited about where that's all going to be heading. But much like the rest of the game, your museum is also customizable. So if you click that little button up there, you can choose between a bunch of different walls and floors. So for instance, let's say we were to set this to a herringbone brick floor. And then let's say we were to set the wall to just some nice basic drywall. Boom, we have ourselves the start of our own space. And then in each of these spots, you can place any pedestal you want. So we have, what's that, 36 pedestals. So you can do laminate or you can do wood. And then we have modern, classic, and tapered.
Mhm.
And they all just plop in. And then on top of them, you can place any spotlight artwork that we've added into the game. So we have a few so far, and we're trying to get more in with every single update. Some updates will have like walls and floors kind of museum decorations. Some updates will have spotlight art pieces. Some updates will have a little bit of both. It really just depends on what we're able to schedule in, what we're kind of in the mood for doing, and what kinds of guest artists are interested in making stuff that would go on these pedestals.
So how
uh,
would these guest artists or people who are interested in getting involved, how can they best contact you guys?
the best way, honestly, is either join our Discord. The link is available at lantanagames.com. It's the first banner that comes up, or DM us on Twitter at Lantana Games. Those are probably the best ways to get involved. And we're very open, especially for the museum art pieces, of bringing in just about everything. Obviously, we're happy to give you an in-game credit, and then even a Steam announcement saying, "Hey, we have some new guest art pieces in the museum. Come check them out." And what we'll do is every single thing that is purchasable in the museum has a gem value attached to it. So you can see, like, this vase, for instance, costs 51 gems. So players have to collect those gems in game, whether in the adventure mode or in any of the quick play modes. And then they can spend those gems on building up their custom art museum that they can then take screenshots of and share with their friends. Kind of like, it's kind of a dollhouse, or like an Animal Crossing kind of
Yeah.
city.
So I
Um,
think you kind of hinted at downloadable content and some things that
yep.
you can purchase within the game. And so there are going to be some things you can only unlock in quick play mode and story mode,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe using the program. But
Yep.
are there other ways to, what if I really want something that costs like tantamount of gems? Like what
Mhm.
else? What else do you have?
Um, you mean like how to get gems in the game and get them
Yeah, like
quickly?
promotions or like how do you run stuff like that?
Okay. So, on top of this being a customizable museum as well as an art gallery, so you click on a painting and an artwork comes up, and this works with every single painting in here. Then you can select a difficulty, and then there's a little bit of story that can go along with that. You can quickly skip through that, or skip it entirely with another button, at which point you teleport in and you play the story level associated with that. And unlike the quick play modes, these are a little more set in what they're going to give you, because as of right now, story mode is kind of the game's tutorial. So it does a pretty good job of guiding you through a lot of what the game has to offer, but not everything. So you can still get ready for some challenges in there.
So that's a
Um,
jam-packed chapter 1 then.
that is a jam-packed chapter one. There are 10 levels in chapter one that you can play. This one comes up twice. Um, but then you can also play it at all 4 difficulties. So it's like 40 levels overall in chapter one, with the bits and pieces of dynamic generation that are still going to be included no matter what. Um, on top of all that, this space does act as a little bit of a live events platform. So, for instance, at Christmas time, or what we call Maker's Miss, some trees are placed in either corner. You've got, your regular pine tree on the left, and then your gem tree on the right. And the pine tree on the left will give you all kinds of museum decorations: floors, walls, pedestals, spotlight art pieces, and you can get one a day. The gem tree on the right will give you, I think it's anywhere between 100 and 5,000 gems or something stupid like that. Um, and again, you can get one big collection of gems a day. So December is absolutely the time to play. And every Maker's Miss, there's been one Maker's Miss so far, and we try to encourage the community to create some like holiday themed levels, and really get into the spirit of making stuff. um, and it was a lot of fun to put together. We put it together. We like crunched on it for like 2 weeks last year because we'd been very busy fixing up bugs, and then it was like, we got holidays coming up. We got to do something fun. So we just like scrambled to put some stuff together, and it ended up working buglessly, which is
A
a
Christmas
very
miracle.
a very big Christmas miracle, and we were like, "Whew, that was fun."
That's awesome.
And it actually did get a little bit of attention during Maker's Miss, and we saw a little bit of uptick in activity. So I think people really, really enjoyed the free daily gifts.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's like a little advent calendar, like daily,
yeah,
like a daily.
exactly, exactly. And they drop down like loot boxes, but they are not loot boxes. It's just a fun little like present animation, slams down from the screen, shakes, and rockets up your prize to the middle. Um, so you can definitely load up on stuff for your museum during those days. You get extra gems. But if you're, you know, because stuff in the museum is only going to get more expensive over time, we're never going to like microtransaction art pieces in the museum. They will always be available either from the moment you open the game, or uh, like bundled together in a DLC pack. Um, it's never going to be like pay $1 to unlock, this like toilet that you can put on top of a pedestal. It's never going to be anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, but if you need to load up on gems really quickly, then what you can do is you can play gem hunt mode. And what gem hunt mode does is allows you to go double or nothing on your currently collected gems in between rounds.
Oh my gosh, you're gambling on here.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah.
dangerous game.
This is a very dangerous game. So right now I'm playing as Sophie, and she's very slippery.
Right,
So you
there's
can
how many
see
playables?
there's 5 playable characters, and each of them feels pretty different from the others. So there's top speed, acceleration, and braking stats on each character. Pete is the most perfectly balanced one. And then Sophie is slightly slower and more slippery.
Hmm.
And Andy Warhol, darn it. Andy Warhol, of course, is more like fast. He's like fast and slippery, not
Hmm.
as slippery as Sophie. And then Hale and Lois feel pretty similar, but Hale stops on more of a dime than
Hmm.
Lois. Um, so there's some slight variations with each one, and they all take their own kind of getting used to.
So do they each have their own special power-ups or besides like their stats?
Nothing like that yet. It is something that I've thought about, and it was just like we don't really have time to do
Squeeze
it.
that in,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then on top of that, there's always the matter of, once you do something like that, then you're constantly having to rebalance the game to compensate for their individual powers.
Hmm.
And we were more concerned about, having a really fun cast of characters at all, and really focusing on the artistic aspects of the game and what the game can bring to the creative community rather than, um, making a like a incredibly like in-depth RPG kind of a brick breaker.
Right.
So you can see, so in that round, I got 8 gems, and so now I can go double or nothing, and so the counter goes up to 16. So if I beat this level, I will get a minimum of 16 gems.
Oh, including
However,
the gems that you collect during the
including
game.
the gems I'm about to collect, yeah. So now it's 17, 19. This is assuming I don't die, of course. Big if.
I think this game can be both a game that you play when you want to like chill and relax, but it can also be stressful too.
It can be incredibly stressful. There's ways that you can compete against your friends. There are leaderboards in arcade mode, and more kinds of leaderboards and monthly ladders and other kinds of challenges is always stuff that I'm interested in getting in there. Like I said, it's a live service game, and we're doing everything we can to keep it going, and always adding new stuff and growing the experience for everyone. But I want to make sure that when you jump in and play for the first time, you're not feeling like you've missed out on something that only existed, a year prior. I want everybody to kind of feel like they're starting out on equal footing and getting the best possible version of the game that they can at that time.
So there will be like a minimum amount of like things for people on FOMO, right?
Oh yeah. There is no missing out. Like I'm not a fan of like, say, limited time levels, limited time art packs, etc., that aren't going to come around again in about a year.
Right.
So you can see now it's gone up to 36. I go double or nothing again. Now it's 72. And so this can be a very efficient way of racking up gems for your museum.
Is there like a limit to how long you can gamble, or?
No.
Oh no, there's nobody to stop you.
there's nobody to stop you but yourself. But remember, if you lose, it's 0. So the big question for you.
Oh.
Yeah. My recommendation to all players is budget. You want, say,
this
that
teaches
12...
you casino skills.
Oh yeah. But like if you want that 12 wallpaper, which is like 8,000 gems, play Gem Hunt until you get 8,000 gems, and
make that a stopping point.
Then yeah, give yourself a floor at which you'll cash out. What holds true for the stock market holds true for Gem Hunt. Yeah, there's a lot on offer here.
Yeah. So I think for the things that you create on here, you can basically export it and turn it into anything you want. So you could list it on OpenSea as an NFT if you want.
Yep. We have a few collections of NFTs ourselves on OpenSea. So we have the cheap ones and we have the premium ones. So the Punkalisa collection, those are the premium ones. We sell those for like, what are they, like 0.15 Ethereum or something like that. But then we've got the cheap ones, which are like monochrome levels and smaller, and also include a little bit of branding in them. But those are like 0.015 Ethereum. So those are like $40, and the expensive ones are like $400.
Gotcha.
But if as far as we're concerned, it's like digital merch, because we have our t-shirt store, but we're always looking for new ways to kind of not only promote the game, obviously, but promote what the game can do. So, we have some physical merch, like postcards and stuff that's made from Mondrian Maker levels, but then we also have some NFTs that we're making from Mondrian Maker levels, getting in on that craze a little bit. And like, why not? It's a game that's all about making art, and NFTs are all about making art. So, and especially because, the art can be randomized in much the same way a CryptoPunk can. Yeah, it doesn't make your Mondrian levels on the blockchain, but you can take your artworks and put them on the blockchain. And I am personally hoping that at some point there's interest and funding for us to be able to mint your own Mondrian levels directly from Mondrian Maker onto the blockchain as well.
That is
I
so
think
cool.
that I think that would be an excellent addition to make. But skill wise, that's out of my level, so there's not a whole lot of risk of that happening just yet.
Are you
And I'm even gonna say, don't hold your breath.
are you I guess like thinking about like recruiting any new team members, or like maybe taking on like maybe interns or something with your company to kind of see how that affects the games, and like how things progress with
um,
Lantana Games?
So we've traditionally had a format where we will work with schools to offer entry-level opportunities to students. So we've had partnerships with schools like Northeastern University, Savannah College of Art and Design, Becker College, rest in peace, and a few others. And you know, we were kind of purveyors in that space because we've been doing that since like 2014 or so. Nearly did it for a decade. And then what happened was when the pandemic hit, everybody else started doing the exact same thing we were doing, offering remote opportunities and being able to pay more than we could. So we essentially got competitioned out of that space. Which sucks, but that's just how the world goes a little bit.
I mean,
um
everything was kind of unpredictable too, and
yeah,
when the pandemic started. So it was kind of cool that you guys were like ahead of the game there,
a little bit. And
and even in creating a Mondrian Maker too.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I like being ahead of the curve a little bit on these things. And I'm all about making opportunities, filling niches, finding things that nobody else is doing, and then doing them at as high a level as I and my team are able to do. And I feel like this particular game is, in an odd way, the epitome of that mentality.
Right.
We've
I mean, all
we've
great things come out of just, what would happen if we made this? It would be cool if we made this, or if this could happen.
Yeah. And this is one of the weirdest instances of it would be cool if. So essentially what we've got here is it would be cool if Adobe Illustrator was playable.
Yeah.
Um, it would be cool if the computer could randomly color your creations. It would be cool if your Razer keyboard lit up the same colors that are dynamically generated by the computer,
I
which
don't
it
actually know any
does, by
game
the
that
way.
does that.
No, we essentially created a brand new Razer Chroma like scheme, I guess you could call it, or animation, or like they have specific terms for it. But
Right.
every single, say, your keyboard, every single individual key will become a different color, and I can actually demonstrate that.
Oh, cool.
Um, so yeah, if we just take my webcam and then I aim it at the keyboard, you can see, so in the main menus, for instance, it does just, Mondrian colors. If I, go into the game, and then we start a level.
Mhm. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think this might be completely random. But you can see it then randomizes all the colors to go along
Yeah,
uh,
the AI
with
assisted
with that
random.
as well. Yeah, it's sort of an AI assisted randomized, um, and it'll do that every single time. So if I do it again, because I'll get a different color every time.
Yeah,
Yep.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
I imagine there will
And
be a
the
Christmas
same,
theme one for Christmas.
I can, yeah. You probably get that going. And the same goes for Mondrian Studio as well. So if I open up, let's say, yeah, this has some dynamic colors in it.
Mhm.
So if I open up this level, for instance, you can see that the primary color is green. We're in a tetrad scheme. So it's gonna give me, some other colors to go along with that green. If I go monochrome and fill, then the keyboard's all monochrome. Let me crank that brightness to really show it.
Yeah.
So the keyboard's all monochrome. If I go to blue, that'll all turn blue. If I add in some, say, complementary yellow as well. So every single individual zone randomizes within the defined limitations of the level. And you can see in the level itself, like there's some blue, there's some yellow, the border is yellow, the background is blue, and then the keyboard will follow the same exact rules as the rest. So if I turn the brightness all the way down to 0, for instance, then the keyboard just goes out.
Right.
It keeps up, and there's like no lag in any of that. We can go red and cyan. We can, change that to a triad scheme. We can say go with rose instead, and it keeps up. And it just, yeah. And every single time I click, it's basically going to disco ball my keyboard into new colors.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, the whole thing is just crazy technology. Ugh, fix my camera. There we go.
That's
So,
so
yeah,
cool.
that's the tech.
That's amazing. There's so many things you could do with this. You can, create your own like artwork where you can use literally anywhere. You can export
Yep.
it, you can put it on your own products, you can print it out, you can make it your Steam profile or your Discord profile. You
You
can
can make entire Instagram profiles
you can turn it into
dedicated to them.
icons,
Yep.
emojis,
Yep. And
NFTs.
yep. And speaking of Instagram, so there's two accounts that you can follow. One is obviously at Lantana Games. But you can also follow at Mondrian Makers. And this is one where we're sharing content that goes up on Steam Workshop all the time.
Also,
So
if somebody uploads something on Steam, you guys
then
will work
we
on.
will share your level on Instagram.
That is so cool.
Yeah. Especially because Steam takes one by one thumbnails, and Instagram is all based on one by one size stuff. So yeah, we just take what you've made, your thumbnail off of Steam Workshop, and then we'll put that onto Instagram for you and share it with the world, along with the title, so everybody can go find it and play it.
That is awesome. So are there any hints that you can give us that you haven't already given us for what's coming up next month?
For what's coming up next month, So what we're doing, and we've talked about this a little bit, so I can talk about it a little more. Um, what we are doing is we are expanding the museum. Um, we're not going back into the main storyline just yet. We need a little bit more budget to do that for like cutscenes, animated cutscenes and such. There are a couple animated cutscenes in the game already, and unfortunately, episode one did end with a little bit of a cliffhanger. Um, but there's, we can get back to it. And there's not a whole lot of rush to get back to it. What we're more interested in doing right now is expanding the museum in a way that benefits the art community at large, and in particular, different locations and art communities from certain areas around the world. So I can only say two words that can give a hint as to where we'll be starting this. Pete Mondrian.
All right.
Those are the only two words I can say right now. But stay tuned because we have some very exciting things. Very very shortly. I believe we're getting an announcement out within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So not gonna have to wait very long to find out what we're doing, and we are doing some pretty wild looking stuff.
That's awesome. And then, so where can we get this powerful program, and how, again, how much it will be in now and in the future, and actually, how big is even the file?
Um, so you can get it on Steam. It is $15. Again, it's called Mondrian Plastic Reality. Uh, it is available for Windows, but it should work fine under Proton as well. So when the Steam Deck comes out, I can't wait to test it on that. I think it's going to work fine. This thing works on just about any toaster you throw it on. And it's space wise, it's only going to take up about 500 megabytes on your hard drive.
That's
It
crazy.
it's going to take up less than a gigabyte. Levels themselves usually hover between 50 and 100 kilobytes. They're really small. Um,
And you can download more.
so and
It's
and
always growing.
you can always download more. There's content always being added onto Steam Workshop, whether it's from us or hopefully the community gets more involved in that soon. Um, there's definitely no lack of content anywhere. We're always adding new levels, always adding new museum features, running live events, contests. Come up with new ways to play against your friends. There's so much you can do in this.
Right.
It is a gigantic game, which is weird because it's built off of our smallest game.
Hmm.
So it is a sequel to a game that came out about 6 years ago, Mondrian Abstraction and Beauty, and that one got shown off at the Smithsonian American Art Museum. It won a few awards. It sold like 20,000 copies. I mean, that was like a surprise hit despite being the smallest thing we'd ever made. And so with this one, we really wanted to be like, how can we, take that small scale project and surprise ourselves with it, essentially, and surprise the world with it. And what can we do with it that turns it into a bit more of a monster product that kind of fits in that interesting place, I would say, in everybody's Steam library, where it's not the kind of game that you ever need to uninstall, because it's always offering you something new to do, something new to create, something new to explore. And with a bunch of different ways you can play it, a bunch of new content you can always download, a community that you can contribute to in a way that Also, like online games, for instance, require you to interact, and like if you're socially awkward, that can be difficult to jump into. But something like this is, a little more passive. Even though like there's say live events being run in the museum, it's not a multiplayer game, it's still single player. You can, just simply go enjoy the art museum for yourself. You don't even have to talk to security or like coat check or anything like that.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, say, taking a disease test or social distancing when you walk in for the first time. You're just enjoying an art museum with fully interactive content on top of that. So we've like taken the art museum experience, the real immersion of being in an art museum, put that into the game. But then it's also in a way an art museum that you can build yourself. Then you can make your own art and share that with the world. Compete against everybody else in their own creations. Play through a story that explores the lives and works of great modern artists. um,
Yeah, so you learn a
I
lot
could go
about the
on
game,
forever.
you make your own things, and you play through it. You can play through other people's games. There are ways to be social on here, and
Yep.
then there's also ways to just have fun individually, just like
Yep.
when you have downtime and stuff like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's
The
fun
original
to create
game,
things. Like I think humans are
it
just
it is
designed to create.
it is so much fun to create things, and we tried to make this the kind of game where it was like the easiest possible experience to create things. You're literally just stamping blocks around, and
Are
then
you?
if you want to paint them, you can paint them. If you want the computer to paint them, the computer can paint them.
I just came up with this question, but do you know how old your youngest player and how old your oldest players are? Because that would be so
So
interesting to like hear how it is because of how easy it is to use and like,
yeah,
and it's engaging.
I only have so we don't do any stat collection in here. Um so you don't have to worry about the game sending your data anywhere. We don't collect your data. If you want to file a bug report, go onto the Steam forums and type out a bug report. We don't do any creepiness. We're not generating Bitcoin in the background. We're not collecting your data. We're not doing any of that. And if we were to put NFT minting into the game, it would be a separate download. You would have to opt into it.
Mhm.
Um, uh, but so just going off of like events that we brought the game to in the past, we've had 6-year-olds enjoy this. We've had 60-year-olds enjoy this. I remember there was one PAX East we brought it to, and we were showing off the Lois Mailou Jones stuff for the first time, and she was very popular during the Harlem Renaissance. And so a black couple from Harlem picked the game up and saw her inspired works in there, and were like, "You got it. You have done her justice and the whole movement justice." And I was like, "Oh my god, that just if that's not confirmation that we're onto something special right here, I don't know what is." Um, so
That's amazing.
yeah,
And
like
as you
the
explore,
the age range runs the gamut.
there's like so many different artists. Are you also going to kind of, as you go through all of the artists through time, are you also going to transition and add in modern artists?
Um, Maybe. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on how the rest of the main storyline goes.
Mhm.
There will be more characters getting added, um, just like NPCs essentially.
Mhm.
Uh, but no current plans to add more playable characters. I really like the cast that we've got right now. I think
They're
uh,
solid.
they're very, very solid. It is a very, very fun cast, and we've already had a couple people cosplaying them and such, and
Oh, that's so cool.
it is so neat to see them come to life for that. And again, that's just another level of creativity, and I'm all about that.
That's awesome. And if anybody wants to be involved, again, like reach out on Discord and Twitter. Those are like the main
Hmm.
channels. And then for sharing art, go on to Steam and Instagram.
Yeah. Steam and Instagram are definitely the big ones there. Also, feel free to post them in the Discord or use hashtag #MakeAMondrian. We check that for new stuff. And I'm always happy to share community creations. And if like somebody say makes a whole like separate website for sharing Mondrian levels, I'm all about that. It's very old school. You don't have to share to Steam Workshop if you don't want to. In the main menu, if you go under options, you can open local content, and from there you can actually access your levels folder and then bring the level anywhere you want to. You can upload it to your own website. You can put it on a 3.5-inch floppy and share it with your friends. Like you can do whatever you want with it at that point. Like I said, I'm old school. I grew up making levels in Load Runner and Jazz Jackrabbit, and I used to share my creations with my friends and family all the time. So this is the first time that I've made a level editor, and I wanted to sort of harken back to that nostalgic experience of user-generated content and not creating a like locked ecosystem, still having the ecosystem for the convenience, which I think was something that was like kind of missing back in the day, was say Epic Games having a dedicated place for the community to upload their Jazz Jackrabbit or old Unreal Tournament levels way back in the day.
Right.
And that those were all community creations. Having a place like Steam Workshop is amazingly convenient. But if you want to make your own website to go, dedicated to Mondrian levels, you go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I can't stop you.
You'll be their biggest cheerleader.
And I will be the biggest cheerleader imaginable.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
Was there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to kind of like put into light?
I'm not sure, but of course, I'm happy to answer any question about the game that you may have, because I'm sure you have one or two more you want to get through before we finish up.
So let me see. So I think you already answered them. Like like what are you most excited for? Obviously, the next announcement coming next month.
Mm-hmm.
Also that you're open to, interacting with the community, enhancing what kind of tools are available for the community, and being open to any kinds of opportunities, like you just said, like if anybody wants to create a website, like to share the artwork or levels, then go ahead. Like you will be able to, if they needed anything from you, you'll be the first one to be like, yes, here it is.
My proverbial office door is always open. If you, even say make a custom Mondrian maker, or like you want to make a custom Mondrian maker, but you need a guide on, where data is saved and loaded in a level, I'll get you that info. And you go ahead and make a custom Mondrian maker. Like I'm totally amenable to that. If you want to make a website for sharing levels, I'll get you the info you need to help make that happen.
Is there, I do have another question. So, is there any plans for cross compatibility? Like, for example, like some games they'll have this version, but then they'll have a mobile version, or like they'll have a browser version that they can share with their friends.
So cross-platform requires money, and that's money we don't have yet. So if you um, our two, I would say, biggest like business priorities with this game are cross-platform and localization.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely need to get it into more languages, and definitely need to get it onto more platforms. Now, there's an odd convenience with Mac OS now, and that is that if we manage to get an iPhone version working, then it would work on Mac and vice versa, thanks to Apple's new chip technology. So I think we would probably target new generation Macs, just for the convenience of then also being able to have a mobile version at the ready when we can figure out how we would monetize that correctly.
Hmm.
Because we would most likely release it as free to play, but then there's the question of how do we do that without angering the PC community because they've paid $15 for it. So, what do we, do we piecemeal? Do we give it lots of ads? Do we
Hmm.
um, leave, what do we leave out, for instance? Um,
Hmm.
it could very easily just be you just get the quick play modes and then maybe it randomly downloads
And
levels.
maybe, yeah,
And
maybe like unlocking story modes by like paying uh gems or something like that, or have some
yeah,
sort of version.
yeah, it would most likely be almost like a demo essentially,
Yeah.
on mobile, and then you get the bigger version on PC and ideally at some point console. I would love to see
Yeah.
console version. um,
What I love about this is the program is built to scale. You
mhm,
can There's obviously unlimited ways that you can use it. There's unlimited levels that can be made.
mhm,
You know, and unlimited color palettes that can be applied that will most likely never be the same every single time.
yeah.
So
um,
that's the thing that's really cool.
every time you play this game it's different,
Yeah.
and it always throws new surprises at you, especially if you play at higher difficulties, because the higher difficulty you play at, the more variations of a level that it can load. So if you play on relaxing, it'll only load relaxing. If you play
Hmm.
on hard, it can load hard, medium, easy, or relaxing.
Right. Like
So
elements, right? Like the exploding
yeah,
blocks and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. So so each variation of a level that you make in Mondrian Maker, it's kind of up to you how you go about determining what is easy, what is hard. There aren't really like resources you can use that stop you from, say, putting in too many obstacles on easy or anything like that. It is completely up to you how you want your challenge to be built at each difficulty. The rule that I usually go with is relaxing is just bare bones. What you see is what you get. On easy, I tend to throw in a few modifiers, and then medium and hard is more modifiers and more obstacles.
And
Um,
you're also still developing newer modifiers to kind of
yep.
make it harder and harder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's
Um,
eventually gonna be like a level like challenger.
oh, there's so much on the way. I mean, like, for instance, we're missing a layers palette at the moment. So that is something that I want to get in before the end of the year. And using like just a simple Photoshop style layers menu, being able to build layered levels, and then potentially even being able to apply modifiers to entire layers, or at the very least paint them on, so that you can get them going quicker, would mean that you can build more levels inside of levels,
That
some that
sounds like
blink out
so.
over time.
Yeah.
And
Now
yeah,
we're going past 2D. Now we're going 3D,
yeah,
and like
more
there's like
more like 4D because
yeah.
it's changing over time. Yeah.
Right. That's
It's like a
crazy.
2D, 4D kind of thing at that
Yeah,
point.
so definitely lots of things to look forward to in the next coming updates and announcements,
Oh yeah,
and that's amazing. And it's only 2 weeks, right? I'll,
two
I'll
to
put it on
three,
my
two to
calendar.
three. Yeah,
I'll put
yeah.
it on
Two to three. There's some pretty heavy stuff in the works. I wish I could talk about it more, but I'm happy to follow up when we do that announcement and like bring this say to the next GamerJibe Art Lounge and show everybody like, hey, here's all this new stuff that's coming into the game, and people are gonna be like, wait, you did what now?
Yeah. And it's
It's
so
gonna
cool
be
that like
crazy.
you don't make it so that it's gate kept for people who come in late.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what you
Like,
guys missed, you're gonna get it.
oh yeah. I mean, so essentially, figure some content in the museum you'll have to walk off to the right to see. Some
Hmm.
content in the museum you'll have to walk off to the left to see.
Got it.
Um, that that's like it. That's really what it comes down to. But the content that's in there at the start, it's like right where you start. Um, and then you'll just have to head off in one direction or the other to see all these different galleries that we'll be adding into it.
That's so cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next for Lantana Games and Mondrian Plastic Reality.
Keep your fingers crossed, because it's very very rough out there. So game development is a weird enough space as it is, and something like this is I'll admit it's very niche compared
Yeah,
to you know
I've never heard
the
of anything like it.
yeah, compared to like a Fall Guys or an Among Us or Fortnite or any of the
Yeah.
super big names. um Fortnite at least has a creative mode. I'm surprised that Fall Guys doesn't.
Yeah, it is
I
interesting.
feel, yeah, I feel like just about every game could benefit from some level of user
Oh
creativity.
yeah, like Terraria.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Terraria, Minecraft,
Mhm.
um, your load runners and Awesome Knots, Dust Force, Skyrim. I mean, there's Rocket League, I think.
I think so. I haven't played.
Like even PC Building Simulator has a Steam
Yeah.
Workshop. I mean, it's all just like
Yeah.
desktop backgrounds.
And
But
then Mario Maker, right? Yeah.
Mario Maker, how did I leave that out? Roblox,
Yeah.
um, Gary's Mod. I mean,
Yes.
we're entering this period of the metaverse.
Yeah. I
And
know
every
you've seen that hashtag on Twitter a lot.
a lot. There's people talking about it on Clubhouse all the time. Um, and in an odd way, Mondrian, also has its place in the metaverse. It's definitely like not as deep um as the rest. But what it does offer is this interesting combination of creation and interaction.
Yeah.
That you don't get, like you don't get the simplicity of creation from most games, and you don't get this level of interaction from creative softwares. So it is a very unique halfway point,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. That's what makes it a little bit hard to explain because it's so niche and it has something that other games and softwares don't have.
And yet it's also so approachable.
Yeah.
It's in a genre of game that everybody knows and recognizes. If you've never made anything in a level editor before and you see like how in-depth Mario Maker is and you're like, I don't want to touch that, give Mondrian Maker a try instead. Because you literally just stamp blocks around and then the computer handles the styling for the
Yeah.
most part.
And it creates the gameplay already. So
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
easy.
So you basically just let the computer do half the work and then you do half the work, and there you go.
Yeah. Right. That's awesome.
um but yeah, I don't know if you've got anything else, but I think I'm pretty good.
Me too.
I think I've shown off what there is to show. So yeah, follow us everywhere at Lantana Games. Also follow GamerJibe because they're cool and they're doing cool stuff with the art community as well. Oh,
Oh, for
the
art chops.
art chops. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you wanted to promo that quick,
Sure.
you
So
could
Art
definitely
Chops
do that too.
is working on building a community that targets creatives of all types. You know, you could be a singer, you could do graphic design, 3D design, all kinds of things. And what we're trying to do is form a community that allows you to access gigs from different people. You can connect with different creatives. You can get your portfolio reviewed. You can enter contests that help give you seed funding for all your projects. So it's an amazing initiative that Archops is trying to do, and we're gonna launch our crowdfunding very soon.
And
Artchops.gg.
I'm hoping that we can collaborate on something
Yeah,
in
definitely.
there because I think there's a lot of potential for sort of like combining the two ecosystems
Oh yeah,
and seeing what can come of that.
yeah. Like this is the future of collaboration, and we're all here for it.
Yeah, the future is creative, if anything. So make stuff.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Awesome.
Are we good to
All
go?
right, Sarah. Yeah. So yeah, follow GamerJibe,
Yay!
follow Archops, follow Lantana Games. Pick up Mondrian Plastic Reality on Steam for just 15 US dollars. You get the game, you get Mondrian Maker, you get Mondrian Studio, you get the museum, 100 levels. There's another 25 or so up on Workshop, and always
Unlimited
building up
power.
more unlimited power. So yeah.
All right. Awesome.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Yay!
Yay! Bye, everybody.